appetizing as it looks, this food isn't edible. It's plastic. On Kappabashi Street in Tokyo, shops like Madoru sell these plastic food samples that are often displayed in Japanese restaurants, replicas of sushi, beer, and even ice cream. A perhaps on-the-nose reminder that plastic has become as elemental as the food that we eat. On one hand, plastic has changed the world for the better. It's convenient, hygienic, and inexpensive. On the other, the unfettered spread of single-use plastics has posed an existential threat to our oceans and our health. In Japan, companies and citizens alike are taking a multi-pronged approach to the question of plastic, whether it's to reduce, reuse, recycle, or to revamp the way things are. On Eco Solutions, we'll explore the ways that the ethos of recycling is being championed in Japan, from plastic to electronics to clothing, and how promoting a circular economy may be the key to ending the cycle of waste. Pre-dawn in the Japanese port city of Osaka, and all is still except for the flutter of flags and the slow movements of fishermen at the Ozaki docks, preparing for their day at sea. At 5:30 a.m., the engines purr to life. The fishing trawlers begin to stir, and these fishermen, a father and a son with decades of experience between them, cast their nets, and they wait. At 15-minute intervals over the next 8 hours, they reel in the trawls and empty the nets. Starfish, manta rays, shrimp, and in the haul, some items that are not supposed to be there.
It's brought in from everywhere, from the small towns to the rivers to the sea. It's an issue occurring all over Japan, no matter whether in big cities or in local towns.
Plastic, plastic everywhere. According to a 2016 report by the Ellen MacArthur Foundation and the World Economic Forum, the total weight of marine plastic waste is projected to exceed that of fish by 2050. And Japan trails only the United States as one of the world's top producers of plastic waste per person. A look at the trawler's mud-covered catch of the day dredges up a nationwide obsession with packaging. In 2018, local professor in public economics and researcher Sato Harada led a survey that cast a damning light on the issue of plastic waste in Osaka and its effect on local fishermen.
We counted the plastic waste caught in the dragnet of a fishing boat during its operation and extrapolated that there are around 3 million plastic shopping bags under the sea in Osaka Bay. Even today, we found a lot of plastic waste and plastic shopping bags every time we drew the net. Here is a snack bag and a DVD, a plastic bottle, and this is an udon noodle package. What's next? Some bags. There's a whole bunch of stuff. These will never dissolve because plastic remains as plastic if it is not processed.
While Harada says it may be near impossible to rid bodies of water like Osaka Bay of existing trash, he thinks part of the solution going forward is to stop Japan's further use of disposable plastics and cut off the seemingly unstemmable flow of marine litter.
Many people point out that littering is the cause of this plastic waste problem, and I believe it's one major factor, but I don't think it's the only factor. The main problem is we are using tremendous amounts of plastic. Also, many people are indifferent to this issue. I suppose that's what has caused the reality now.
According to Harada, the average Japanese citizen uses at least 300 plastic shopping bags each year, totaling more than 30 billion bags annually. To help counteract this, the professor successfully pushed for Japan's first plastic bag ban in his hometown of Kameoka, some 60 kilometers north of Osaka.
日本は正直まして先進国ですけども
Eventually, as local cities raise their voices, the country will change, and that's what we're trying to do.
そんな取り組みにつなげていきたいなというふうに思っています。
The mayor of Kameoka recently announced the Zero Single-Use Plastic Waste Declaration to ban all disposable plastics from his city by 2030. With 1.5 billion visitors a year coming to Kameoka to enjoy the Hozu River, the mayor says he worries about plastic litter affecting the image of his town and further downstream, the cleanliness of Osaka Bay.
レジ袋っていうのは大変
Plastic shopping bags are very cheap, versatile, and quite handy in many ways. They're part of our daily lives. I suppose we have to change this lifestyle, or we cannot reduce plastic waste in Japan.
してしまうという状況があってですね。
どれぐらいのプラスチックゴミが海に
We still don't know how much plastic waste there is in the ocean, or how much it affects human health. I believe there is little time left for us. Now we have wisdom to develop new materials, build new social structures, or start new initiatives from municipalities instead of just waiting for the nation to take action. And I believe we can definitely solve the problem.
もうほとんど残っていないと思います。
It's said that every single piece of plastic ever made still exists. Too much of it ends up in the ocean or not properly recycled. That's why Osaka-based chemical manufacturing company Kaneka is offering up a different approach to the issue of marine litter. The materials maker is investing big in ramping up its production of biodegradable biopolymers. Translation: a form of plastic that's made 100% from plant oils, not fossil fuels, and completely breaks down in soil and seawater.
ここにありますように、いろいろなものがですね、海水の中で
This is the sample to test biodegradability in seawater. As you can see, various things are dissolved in seawater by bacteria. This straw, for example, can be 2/3 dissolved in 2 months and completely dissolved in 3 months or so. A bottle like this can be half dissolved in 4 months, showing a very good biodegradability, though it depends on conditions. Most plastic made from petroleum doesn't biodegrade, even though it can keep becoming tinier like microplastics. It is problematic for it to remain in the ocean. A polymer like this made from biodegradable biomaterial and eventually dissolves to be water and carbon dioxide.
いうカーボンのサイクルが回るということになります。
Kaneka says it's now producing 1,000 tons of this bioplastic called PHBH a year. But with huge market expansion globally expected for this kind of material, the company plans to ratchet up production.
プラスチックはですね、
Plastic has spread over the world as a very useful thing, but on the other hand, it's causing environmental problems. With the power of science, we'd like to promote PHBH as a solution for people around the world as soon as possible.
実現していきたいと思っています。
Takeoka says that PHBH would be an appropriate substitute for most of the non-biodegradable petroleum-based plastics we're used to. Since 2009, scientists at the Kaneka R&D facility in Hyogo Prefecture have been fully focused on developing the biopolymer. Takeoka says that while the company is working to reduce the production costs of the bioplastics, he says the environmental costs of the unsustainable status quo may be much greater.
今関心は
The ocean microplastics problem, which is drawing a lot of attention recently, is caused by single-use plastics disposed as trash ending up in the ocean. Because our products decompose in the ocean, I hope we can contribute to solve the microplastic problem by developing this product.
ものの原因となっていると思います。
This year, Kaneka partnered with 7-Eleven in Japan to run a trial of straws made from the bioplastic.
でこれがですね、
And this is rapeseed oil, which is one of the vegetable oils used as PHBH material. Bacteria eat this and produce resin like this pellet. Like normal plastic, we can form this pellet into cutlery, plates, and straws.
がこういうのをですね、
It's part of a mandate that many corporations across Japan are taking on, doing good for the environment as the pressures mount from consumers and the oceans are flooded with litter. This is a PET bottle recycling plant in Japan. Used bottles made from polyethylene terephthalate, also known as PET, a common type of plastic resin, are collected and sorted here, where they're ground up and shredded into snow-like flakes. Those plastic flakes will then be melted and formed into pellets, the building blocks for new plastic products.
So those are the wasted plastic bottles collected from mostly the Tokyo metropolitan area.
Japan boasts one of the highest recycling rates in the world. 84% of the plastic it collects, the country claims, ends up being recycled. But the kind of recycling that goes on at this plant, turning old plastic into new plastic, takes place for less than a quarter of collected plastic. Much of the rest is burned.
If you say the recycling is plastic to plastic or the product to products, the number is really low.
Kenji Fuma is the founder and CEO of Neural, a Tokyo-based consulting firm specializing in corporate sustainability. He's focused in part on implementing eco-friendly practices like reducing plastic use in companies across Japan, which he says is lagging behind the West in terms of awareness about the plastic issue.
Japanese really care about convenience and health about plastics, so we consumed a lot of the plastics.
Fuma says that part of the Japanese obsession with plastic comes from a cultural mindset of omotenashi, or customer service, which, in the case of plastic, means that everything is wrapped up and neatly presented.
They have to change the mind to reduce the omotenashi or to find the alternative way to respect or to embody the omotenashi mindset with the different materials.
Last year, Fuma was hired as a contractor to help with Yahoo Japan's sustainability efforts, and the decision was made to replace the plastic cups in the company cafeteria with bamboo ones.
Plastic waste was becoming a global issue, and as we are using fairly large amounts of plastic here, we started wondering what we can do. More people are using bamboo cups than I expected. The number of plastics used before was 18,000 per month, but has decreased by 8,000.
The vending machines of Tokyo, perched on nearly every block and loaded up with bottles upon bottles in this convenience-obsessed megacity. In the Akihabara district of central Tokyo, this is just a snapshot of the more than 5 million vending machines spread across Japan. And many of them carry the drinks and, of course, plastic bottles produced by Suntory, a beverage company with 120 years of history, and they see themselves as having an eco-conscious plan for the future.
Plastics, it's really convenient for our life, but a convenience has a trade-off. And now is the time to resolve that trade-off for the next generations.
At their production facility in Kanagawa Prefecture, a flurry of bottles is churned out every day, but these aren't your typical virgin plastic bottles destined for a single use. They're made from existing, used PET bottles through a process that Suntory hatched with the recycling company Kyoei.
We should not produce further virgin PET bottles, which are produced by petrol-based.
Suntory says it can accomplish this policy through technology like F2P recycling, flake to pre-form. At a Kyoei plant outside Tokyo in Ibaraki Prefecture, the standard processes of mechanical recycling are taking place. Bales of used plastic are unloaded, sorted by machine and by hand, cleaned and then pulverized into tiny pieces or flakes. Here's where things get a little different. Rather than melting the flakes and forming them into pellets, the process is streamlined and the flakes are turned directly into what's called preforms. Think of them as baby plastic bottles, your used bottle of soda reincarnated as a new one to be blown up and filled with new beverages.
We built the world's first process to produce freeforms directly from flakes while compressing production costs and lowering CO2 emissions by 25%. Under these circumstances, we can keep recycling without producing garbage. It's great for a country without oil resources like Japan to have technology like this.
Kyoei President Eiichi Furusawa says the F2P technology was initially met with resistance, but the growing issue of marine litter and China's decision to stop importing plastic waste spelled opportunity for Kyoei.
There are about 3 million preforms sent to the market each year. We are considering increasing production in this facility a lot more.
For Suntory CEO Takeshi Ninami, ensuring that Suntory's PET bottles have second, third, and fourth lives is about more than corporate sustainability.
Tackling the plastic waste issue gives us trust from society. That is a kind of a license to operate in the world. So we must resolve this plastic waste issue.
In less than a year's time, the streets of Tokyo will be filled with the excitement of playing host to the 2020 Olympic Games. The last time the Summer Olympics was hosted by Japan was in 1964, and it was largely seen as a debut for the post-war nation's economic resurgence and technological innovation. The iconic Shinkansen, or bullet train, was unveiled then, just in time for the Games. This time around, as Tokyo 2020 approaches, sustainability is high on the agenda as Japan seeks to project itself as a climate leader.
Sustainability is one of our key pillars in preparing for Tokyo 2020 Games. And in addition to utilizing the existing facilities, we've been able to bring in some of the unique key initiatives in sustainability.
One such initiative embodying this ethos is the Tokyo 2020 Medal Project. Over the last 2 years, the organizing committee has invited Japanese citizens to donate their used electronics, cell phones, laptops, and other digital detritus in order to extract the precious metals needed to create the 5,000 gold, silver, and bronze medals.
This is not just about producing medals. It is about advocating the importance of sustainability. When people see medals shining on the chest of athletes during the games time, people will realize how they are engaged in the games, and in the meantime, it's the moment that they can realize the importance of sustainability.
In the end, nearly 80,000 tons of discarded devices were collected, a haul that included more than 6 million used mobile phones, which were then processed for their precious metals. To accomplish this feat, organizers teamed up with Tanaka, a Japanese manufacturer established in 1885 and an official supporter of the upcoming games.
Though the amount depends on the model, cell phones generally contain 400 grams of gold for every ton. Approximately 0.04 grams of gold is used in one cell phone. That sounds scarce, but 400 grams per ton is a much greater amount than the gold found in ores. So, while Japan has very little naturally occurring ore, much more gold can be retrieved through recycling. That's exactly what we call urban mining.
In the end, 32 kilograms of gold, 3,500 kilograms of silver, and 2,200 kilograms of copper and zinc were extracted from the medal project. It's a largely symbolic effort, but a reminder all the same of the gold mine that's in your pocket.
The resources on the Earth are finite. Recycling is necessary when it comes to utilizing any kind of resource. Precious metals are especially worth recycling, specifically in Japan, where we have so few resources and recycling will be needed more and more.
From the precious metals in our electronic devices to the clothes we wear, recycling is also being championed by Tokyo-based startup J-Plan. Short for Japan Environment Planning, J-Plan was established in 2007 with the aim to promote a circular economy in recycling, particularly with clothes.
I think clothes have a couple of environmental problems. The first problem is that half of all brand new clothes don't actually sell and are disposed of. Another is that there's a lot of clothing thrown away each year, and most of it is incinerated. It's wasteful, isn't it? That's why I established this company, to solve these two major issues.
At its plant in Kitakyushu, Iwamoto's vision is made possible by a chemical recycling process that J-Plan developed. The company sorts donated clothes, dissolves the polyester in the apparel to a molecular level, purifies it, and then forms it into pellets of polyester resin, which can then be used as a raw material to produce new garments. By partnering with major retail brands across the country, J-Plan has set a goal of recycling 10% of the world's unwanted garments.
Recently, fast fashion is growing globally and accelerating mass production and mass consumption. As part of this trend, polyester is used a lot. Though it's a very good material for clothing, it emits a considerable amount of CO2 when incinerated. It's no good for the environment. Therefore, we're operating this business to collect clothes, recycle, and to do better for the environment.
These t-shirts are made in large part from old clothing. They embody J-Plan's vision to prevent our used or unwanted clothes from ending up in landfills or incinerated. Instead, with technology, J-Plan says our clothes can be given new life.
We'd like to improve the technology to recycle not only clothes, but a variety of products. And that's what's most important. It's not just a technology, but finding ways for people to participate. Because as people participate, they start thinking about the environment. This is how we can create a better society.
In Japan, it could be the plastic we use just once, or the electronics that accompany our daily lives, or the clothing we wear and get tired of. For a cadre of academics, corporations, and regular citizens taking on the problem of waste, it's all about closing the loop and finding new and improved ways to tackle our consumption habits. For them, the stakes couldn't be higher.